Hey guys, what's up? Joe. Happy. Let's get some caffeine going. I got some good news. All right, pretty happy. So, to start out with, I want to say thank you guys because I recently came back from a trip to Colorado, and before I left, I make a video asking you guys for some suggestions on what kind of videos you guys want to see from me, right? Any tutorial ideas, or if there's anything specific you want to learn from me, shit like that. And I got some responses from you guys, and I want to say thank you, right? I did read through your comments. I made notes, and I also made a schedule on the type of videos I'm going to make in the future based off the comments that you guys left for me in that video, right? I did take notes, right? And you guys actually gave me some good ideas of what to talk about, right? I already started on a few of those ideas, right? I'm gonna start to make my notes and shit like that. But before I start with that, I actually want to get my feet wet with DaVinci, right? And here I am on DaVinci, right? So first off, most of all, I just want to say, I do like it. I think it's a very good software. At this moment, I'm using DaVinci 18, right? This is the public beta version of it. So that's what I'm using at the moment. This is the free version. I did not purchase the full version, so there may be some features that I'm not aware of yet, right? But at the moment, so far as I'm messing with this, I do like it, right? It is very helpful. It's a good tool, right? That being said, obviously, so when I make my videos, when I be comparing between DaVinci and Premiere Pro, I'm not gonna be the type where I'm gonna say, oh, Premiere is better, nothing like that. I'll do my comparisons based on what works for me, right? So keep that in mind. If I make any comparisons, I'm not saying that Premiere Pro is better or worse in any manner. I'm just basing it off of my opinions and what works for me, right? And basically what I learned in Premiere Pro, I want to try to see if I can, do it inside of DaVinci to help me edit faster, right? And at the same time show you how you can edit faster, right? And so far, I'm finding a lot of good things in DaVinci Resolve that I'm able to find or use in Premiere Pro, right? So DaVinci Resolve is pretty good, right? That being said, let's get started here. Now, first of all, probably the thing I noticed about DaVinci is that this software likes to create a lot of folders for you, right? It's pretty user-friendly in that sense, right? Which is good, right? But in my case, I'm a person that I like to have more control of where my files are going, right? Everything including cache files, where I save, and my proxies, right? So to begin with, right, if we go here to a home on the bottom right, it starts you off with a local database, right? If we click on the information button here, pretty much it tells you where it's at, and most likely the file location is going to be somewhere inside your C drive, right? So yeah, app data, roaming, blackmagic design, support, resolve database, right? It's inside my C drive, right? Now, me specifically, I don't like that, right? So I created a new project file database, and this one I actually created inside of I have an SSD that I connected to my motherboard, and this one I use this primarily for my project files, right? So as you can see here, my PC project files, that's SSD, letter E. So, I created, here's my personal project files. Here's my DaVinci project library. I double click it, and here I got my Resolve projects, right? And I got it has settings here, user settings, and I don't know. Like I said, there's one thing I noticed about DaVinci. It creates a lot of folders for you at the moment, which is fine, whatever. So yeah, I created a new project library, which you just hit add project library, and then from here you can select where you want to save all your files towards, right? And I would suggest, if you're able to, add an SSD to your PC, right? And then save it there individually. Try to keep everything separate, right? As much as possible. Give it a name, and there you go, right? When I started messing around with DaVinci, I already created a project file here, right? And this is saved inside of my C drive. But in my future projects, I'm going to be using my SSD storage device here that I specifically use for my project files, right? But for this tutorial, I'm using the one I just created, just right off the bat, just to keep things simple, right? So I'm gonna double click that. So far that I like the fact that you are able to stretch out your windows here into something that works for you, right? You are able to go to window or workspace, and you go to dual screen, and you are able to turn this on, right? So you are able to work with dual screens, right? Depending on how you have it set up. But for this video, I'm only gonna do one screen, right? Just because it's easier to screen capture, but you are able to do two screens, right? Which is pretty cool. One of the first things I decided to do inside of DaVinci is basically adjust the keyboard or the shortcuts to fit my editing style, right? So that's something I really appreciate about DaVinci. If you go here to the top right, click on DaVinci Resolve, you can actually click on keyboard customization. Now I added a hotkey to F12, right? But I'm gonna click on this. And I really think this is fucking badass that you're able to do this inside DaVinci Resolve. This is something that can actually, benefit people that are coming from like other editing platforms. In my case, Premiere Pro. If you want to switch over to DaVinci, the fact that you're able to create your own shortcuts is fucking great, right? It's very similar to Premiere Pro, actually. You can click on the keys that you want, and then from there you can change them as you need to, right? Or if there's something specific that you want to look up, right? You can just type it in here. It would appear here. I don't know. Let's just say enable clip, right? So enable clip, it's here. And I don't know. I can just say C, or I can type it here, push the keyboard, C, and there you go, right? Enable clip is now on the hotkey C, right? Hit save. So what that does is when I select my clip here and I hit C, it disables it, right? So yeah, that's very helpful. It's kind of cool that it's able to do that. You're able to customize your keyboards, right? Another thing that I like about DaVinci Resolve is that if you go to the preferences, go to users, and you go to project save and load. The cool thing is you can select live save. So what this means is that basically every time you do a cut, you move something or whatever, your project gets saved automatically. I think that's really cool, right? Same thing with project backup, right? I'm the type that I believe in saving your project once every minute, right? Maybe 1 hour is fine. Daily backups for the past 2 days, you probably don't need that much, right? But when you're working on your video, if something crashes, then having a backup does help, right? I think, right? So perform backups every 1 minute, I think is fine. Already backups for the past 1 hour, I think that's fine. Daily backups for the past 1 day, yeah, that should be enough. Also, you can select your location where you want to save this guy at. Again, I have different storage devices where I'm able to save a backup. So the reason why I like having a different backup, say one SSD for my project files, then I have a separate SSD for my backup here. Hit OK. It's because say if my SSD for my project file, if that thing breaks, then I have a backup file on another SSD, right? Or if the computer crashes on my C drive, completely my M.2 where my OS is at, and that decides to break, then I have the project file saved up in other SSDs. That way I'm still have those backups for me when I'm able to fix my computer after my main operating system drive breaks, right? Yeah, make it a habit to have different backups and save them in different SSDs from your main OS storage device. Now the cool thing about DaVinci Resolve is that you are able to create proxies, right? And that's something as I bring up a lot, creating proxies, right? But before we create proxies, there are a few things you want to do, right? Now, as I mentioned, DaVinci Resolve, it likes to create its own folders for you, right? Now, I believe in trying to keep everything more separate to be more organized, right? So if we go down here to our settings menu, you go to the master settings, you scroll down here towards the bottom, and where it says optimize media and render cache, this is where you have more options to select what kind of render files you would like to have for your proxies, right? Now, I'm not going to mess around with optimized media. What I want to change here is where it says proxy media resolution and proxy media format. Now, for the resolution, I'm going to choose half, right? Because we're going to create a lossless style proxy or something that has a higher image quality that doesn't have much compression. That way the playback can be a lot smoother, right? So that's going to take up a lot of space, right? Make sure we're going to have half. It should look fine. Then we're going to have proxy media format. In this case, I selected DNxHR444. Now, this codec, from my understanding, was created by Avid. I don't know exactly too much about it, but all I know is I kind of looked into it. It's kind of a higher quality lossless format, right? So we want to make sure we have that selected. Another thing I like to do is basically, like I said, I like to keep things separate. The proxy generation location, this is basically going to tell where you want to save your proxies at, right? So if we hit browse here, see, here's my PC, there's my C drive, and then I have other SSD storage devices, connected to my computer, to my motherboard, and I have one specific SSD dedicated for proxies, right? So if I click this is where I have my screen capture at, and this is where I have my proxy files at, right? So I have that selected. So this is where it's going to send my proxy files I generate from DaVinci, right? Same thing with cache files and gallery still locations. I have a dedicated SSD where I store all my cache files, right? Because, instead of having it all being jumbled up inside of my C drive, taking up space, I have it all in its own separate storage device. That way I can access it a lot easier and I can delete them when I need to, right? So that's something you might want to do once you start getting more advanced into like editing, is have more storage devices do different tasks, right? It would just help keep your computer a lot cleaner, right? And more organized. Now that we have this selected, we can hit save. Now let's say if you have a bunch of like clips here, right? And you don't know which one is which, that you want to create a proxy file for, you're able to right click on the clip and find a media pool, and I'll highlight it for you over here, right? It just did that. So now we can right click, and you can say generate proxy media, and I already made one, so I'm not gonna do it, but fair warning, when it creates proxy files, it maxed out my computer big time, right? My CPU. And the thing, I guess is one of the drawbacks about using DaVinci is that once it starts creating like the proxies, your computer, your software is locked. You cannot do anything, right? It's just, you have to wait till it's done. When you're creating proxies in Premiere Pro, it usually sends off that work to a separate software, which is Media Encoder. And while that's being created, you are able to go back to Premiere and you are able to edit, right, at the same time, right? So that's something to keep in mind when you're comparing like these two softwares, right? It didn't take that long, but depending on your CPU, it might take a little longer, right? But I already created one. Again, if we go back to my proxy storage device and I hit proxy files, double click on that. Yeah, like I said, DaVinci Resolve, it likes to create a lot of folders for you. And this is where it saved the proxy that I just created, which I thought was kind of strange. And this file, as you can see, is 15 gigabytes big, right? From this clip, that most likely the original file is only like maybe 2 gigabytes the most, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. That's why, you want to have a different like storage device when you create your proxies, because it's going to take up a lot of space, right? But now I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down here to relink Proxy Media, and I'll go here to my proxy files. I'm going to select that proxy that I just created, right? If I hit open, it's going to give you like a little icon here. Let me undo that. This is raw, right? But right here in the bottom left of the clip, if I redo that, the relink, you can get this icon to let you know that there's a proxy that's connected to this footage, right? Now if I scroll back and forth, look at that. See the difference? See how fast and smooth that is? Whereas if I disconnect if I unlink the proxy, see how it stutters? Yeah, you can't work like this, right? It's gonna slow you down when you try to work like that. But with the proxy file, like that, super, super, super fast. That's why I encourage you guys to work with a proxy, right? It saves a lot of time. One more thing before I go. I mentioned that I really do like the keyboard customizations, right? Now, for my way of editing, I try to get everything like set up around this area where my fingers are at, as if I'm playing a video game, right? This helps immensely, right? The Q, I gotta start to playhead. E, I gotta end to playhead. W, I gotta select to clip, the next clip. S, I have to select to previous clip. Then A, I got it frame reverse. I go back one frame. D, I go forward one frame. Z, I got it to zoom. Then next, I got it for razor, right? The reason why I did that is this. Now, something I noticed about DaVinci is that you're not able to do a command where you can say jump to playhead, right? Meaning like, say if I have my mouse here, there's no command at the moment where you can like say, have the playhead to jump where like the mouse is at. So you have to use the timeline up here to like move around the playhead, right? Which is, it's not that big of a deal, right? At the moment, it's not big of a deal. So you can just, click and drag here. And I have like the razor set to X, right? So I can make my cut here. And if I move up here, I have like trim back on Q. You see that? Same thing here. I have trim forward to E. You see that? So, and another thing, I say like I make a cut here, I can make a cut here. By using S, I can go back, and hitting W, I go up again, right? W, W, E, E, W, W, S, S, right? Oh, that's another thing, like the scroll. And by default, this is disabled. And what happens is that, you're not able to scroll through the timeline, right? So we want to go to View, uncheck this, the Enable 2D timeline scroll. That way you're able to scroll through the timeline, right? So if you're having that issue, make sure you have that checked, have this unchecked, right? Down in the View, Enable 2D timeline scroll, right? That way you can scroll a lot easier, right? Another thing I like to do is like I have zoom selected on Z. So what that does is basically I can just jump around here. By holding Alt, I'm able to like zoom in where like the playhead is at. Now if I hit zoom again, I get out. If I move the cursor, if I want to zoom in here, I can hit Z again. It zooms into this location. Zoom out again by hitting Z. I can move like the playhead to this area. I can hit Z. It zooms in again, right? So basically having like zoom selected on Z, it helps me out, right? Along with having like the X for slice. Then I have like Q to like trim back. Boom, there you go. Or say if I zoom in here, I can hit E and it's gonna trim the playhead to this cut. See that? Yeah, so that again, Q. So yeah, you can see it's like the ripple delete here. So start to playhead is a Q. End to playhead is, I got an E. W got it for like next clip. Or you can hit down on your keypad, but I have it in W. S is for previous clip, to go back one, right? Then D, frame forward. A, frame reverse. Z, zoom to fit. And next, razor, right? So, that's some ways that you can cut, right? Just be a lot faster. And also, like, look how smooth it is using the proxies. Look at that. It's my face, right? It's a lot easier, right? And I can just move here to playhead, and I can hit Q to trim back. Boom, there you go, right? It's a lot faster, right? Or if I want to cut out this section, I can just move back and I hit E and it trims forward. Boom, really quick, right? So yeah, there you go. It's a kind of a quick presentation of how I have my project and my keyboard set up in DaVinci, right? All right, that's it for this video. There's definitely a lot more that I can learn with the DaVinci Resolve, and I'm definitely going to continue using it. I do like it. I think it is really cool, right? So I need to understand its limitations and all the other stuff and work around them. But the limitations are not that much, right? I think it's very doable, very manageable. I mean to say, yeah, it's very manageable. So, I like it big time. So that being said, if this video helped you out, I'll put some QR codes over here if you guys want to buy me a coffee. I really would appreciate it. If you guys have any questions and so on and so forth, or there's something I missed or whatever, let me know, right? That way I can learn more about DaVinci Resolve as I'm working with it, and teach you more, what I'm learning, how I work with it and stuff like that, right? So that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm really excited to learn more about DaVinci Resolve. I do like it. It's a good software, and as you can see, there's a lot that you can do with it that's similar with Premiere Pro, right? Not 100% exactly the same, but it's still good, right? So anyways, that being said, thanks again. Take care and peace.